Are you ready to party? Let's go.
Kim Kissh. Did I say it right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, girl.
Thank you.
Cheers to our coffee.
Cheers. We were just saying,
God.
it's been like, what, a year?
It's been
A year in the making.
It's been over a year.
I got you, Joy. I got you, bro.
Is that on video?
I saw that. It is on video.
Just kidding.
I got it.
I was like,
I saw that.
man. Okay. We were just having this conversation about how I don't have an iPhone, and he took it to a whole new level.
I just completely forgot about
like,
you.
Okay, this guy doesn't exist.
Yeah, whatever.
It's okay. It's all right. I got thick skin. I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah, we love
Anyways, well, cheers. Welcome to the show.
Gosh, you came all the way from where?
Chicago.
I love it. I freaking love it. Are you
Illinois.
from Chicago?
No, originally from New York.
You're from New York?
Yeah.
Oh my God. What part of New York?
Westchester.
Okay, is that upstate New York?
No, it's not upstate.
Okay, when people say upstate New York, what is that like a good
For
thing or bad
me,
thing?
Well, I think it just, okay, to answer your question, yes, I think it's a bad thing.
Okay.
Because when you think of upstate New York, you think of like these random farm towns, and people don't really associate that with New York. Like, did I grow up in Manhattan? No. But did I grow up in the middle of nowhere? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Was it mainstream suburbia? Yes.
Where'd you, so you went to high school and stuff out in New York, and then when did you move to Chicago?
Last year.
Oh, wow.
Exactly a year ago.
Are you a Bears fan yet?
Probably by association, yes. Yeah. I am a Cubs fan, though.
Oh,
Those
okay.
games are so much fun.
Yeah, Wrigleyville.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. I used to go to Chicago every year, and my dad's side of the family's from over there. And anyway, like I always try to make it a point to get to a game.
It's so great.
Yeah,
Like, I
super
never really
fun.
liked baseball until a Cubs game.
That's so hard because like baseball is one of those things where people like unless you played, like it's just it's boring to watch on TV. But when you go to the game, completely different atmosphere.
Yeah.
Right?
And I have to say, so my friend and I she started it and I followed, I have to admit. But we do this new thing where, because now you can order drinks on your phone.
Oh, okay.
So what we do is we post either on like Instagram or Snapchat, and we say like, we are in section 233, row 11, seats 2 and 3. Send us beers. And people will literally send us beers.
No way.
Yeah, like friends. Yeah. So then when they're at games, I send them drinks.
That's cool.
It's awesome.
That is.
Yeah.
Is that
Technology
level 2
at its
right there.
finest.
Is that okay? So is that something that's new because of the pandemic, or is that kind of like always been there?
You know, I'm not sure.
I haven't been to a baseball game in a long time. So.
I would assume that it was before the pandemic.
Okay.
Instead of, getting up, waiting in line, like a 30-person line.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So then they bring it to you.
Dang, dude, technology. You're right.
I know. I know.
What a time to be alive.
So friends around the country are like, oh, yeah, let me send you one.
Oh, I know. Okay, so being from New York,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to say your thoughts if you don't want to, but the way New York is going, all the madness, how do you feel about all that? Is it kind of a bummer?
I mean, but we can kind of say that for the whole country, right? You know?
That's very true. And
Like,
I think it's
everywhere has
state-dependent,
its
right?
problems. Yeah.
True. I mean, because we used to go to New York all the time. I mean, it's a big
Yeah.
deal for us as firefighters to go on St. Patty's Day. It's a big deal,
Yeah.
and it's a great time. March in the parade, go to the bars, meet other firefighters from around the country. But I always have a blast when I go there. Now I'm like, I ain't going there anytime soon because the crime rate is high right now.
I know.
Lack of the police and everything. So it's just a bummer. I'm not from there, but I love going. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah.
It's just a weird time.
Maybe it's just taking a break, you know?
Yeah, I'm hoping it gets back to normal because I love going over there.
Yeah.
I really do.
Well, I was saying, not to knock LA, but LA, it's like you have to like you kind of have to know someone who has someone, and then you find like the really cool restaurants. But New York, you can simply just walk around and be like, I think I want Chinese food, and you can just find a fantastic Chinese restaurant.
And I feel
Yeah.
like when you're in New York, like, because like Jim was saying, like I've been a whole bunch, and it's typically like St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
That's like the real time I've visited that area. But like, that's a good point. So like, if you're from out of town and you come to LA, unless you know somebody, you're kind of, you're doing the Yelp run.
Yeah.
Pretty much, because everything's just a little bit more spread out. Whereas like New York is so on top of each other.
Exactly.
And I also feel like too, like it's the people there are a lot different as far as like, I'm not saying everyone's nice, but you can find out things. And I feel like I don't know, maybe it's just me or I had a good run of good luck. But you know, you can just talk like, hey, where's a cool bar? Or where's a great place to eat? Or I'm looking for a burger or a pizza. Like, what's, you know, especially in New York, right? What's the best pizza? There's stuff everywhere.
Oh, opinions everywhere.
Yeah, but that's part of the there's opinions everywhere for sure.
Joke on that one.
But that's part of it. You know what I mean? Whereas like I feel like it's just easier to openly communicate with like the casual person there. You know? But I also kind of feel like that's just everything back east. You know, like if you went to a bar back east and you start talking, someone's going to know that you're not from there, and then they'll start asking you questions. Next thing you know, you got 2 hours later and you made a new friend that you didn't anticipate on doing. And I feel like that's not something that's very common, or at least my experience having lived here. You know, it's not as likely, because I feel like anytime I go to like Chicago or New York or anywhere, like you just start talking. Next thing, and I'm a talker, so like I'll sit there.
As a podcast host.
A little.
Sorry, that's that New York humor.
No, I was like, Anyways, I'm fluent in sarcasm. I got you. No, but yeah, and anyway, so that's like a cool aspect, you know, like going over there. And anyway, hopefully they can.
I hope they get their stuff together soon, because I really love going back there. It's a good time. It's always a good time. But okay, so to get back to you, you are doing something that I think is pretty freaking awesome. So can you please let everybody know what you do?
Yeah, so I am a corporate pilot.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Girl. How long have you been a corporate pilot?
Officially, I think this is probably my going on 3.5 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and so it's for everyone to know, how old are you?
So let's call it 25, because I'm turning 25 at the end of the month.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Dang, girl.
Yeah.
25 years old and you're a corporate pilot.
Yeah. It's surreal.
There it is. There it is. Cheers, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
I didn't forget. I didn't forget.
All right. Oh my God. Okay, so what sparked your interest in becoming a pilot?
So my dad originally sparked my interest. So he's a pilot, but normally people think, oh my gosh, your story stops right there. You know, your dad's a pilot, you know, you followed in his footsteps. But it took me a while, because I always phrase it similarly to that, you know, I almost resented aviation for a while.
Because you were raised in it type thing? Or your dad was gone?
Because I was just exposed to it all the time.
see.
So I guess I more so took advantage of it. Like I didn't really, you know, I took it for granted, I guess. So the story kind of goes that, you know, there's these flying clubs all around, and then you can, similar to a timeshare, you can buy a share of the airplane. So growing up, my dad had a share in this airplane called the Cherokee 6. So if you think, you know, 2 pilot seats in the front and then 4 people in the back. And it was perfect because I have one older brother. So just mom, dad, me, and my brother. And so he had this share in this airplane. And we always did these joint family vacations going from New York to Cape Cod in Massachusetts. So I always thought we were the weird family, because we were the ones that would leave way later than everyone else. We'd get there before everyone else because we would fly there.
Oh, okay.
And here I am, like 6 or 8 years old in the back of this airplane. What a freaking privilege. And I'm like, my ears hurt. This is loud. Are we there yet?
To give you, but you didn't know, right?
No.
You're so young.
And my brother's in the front too. So I'm just in the back, like, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. This is a weird car.
Right.
So that was kind of my first introduction to aviation, and my dad thought my brother was going to be the pilot of the family, but turns out he's partially colorblind. So
if you're colorblind, you can't fly.
So you can, there's more forms to fill out. There's a thing called a SOTA where you have to go and do a test with a FAA examiner and a medical doctor, and they pretty much show you different lights, and you have to tell them what color they are.
Because they're pretty strict for us, at least for people trying to get into public service.
Yeah.
A lot of places, if you're colorblind, you're out. And I remember, where we originally started, they almost didn't give me a job because they thought I was colorblind.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm not, because they ended up sending me to a specialist, right? And it was funny. The specialist was like, I told him, hey man, I know I'm not colorblind. Okay, that book, you open the book and there's all those dots.
Oh yeah.
And then there's that light yellow and then like a light green. I'm like, I can't fucking see it, dude.
Yeah.
And then the doctor's like, all right. He laid out all the colors, and I was like, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. You're fine. You're not colorblind. Yeah, I'm like, I know I'm not colorblind. I was like, those are 2 super light shades of color. So
yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I was scared. I thought, dude, I can't do this career now. I can't.
And that's so common. I think it's most common in men. I think it's like 1 in 10 men are somewhat colorblind.
How different? Because I was like, I'm not colorblind, or at least haven't been diagnosed as that. But there's like a certain shade of green and gray that I get the two incorrect.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it's mostly shades. That's what my brother will say too. Like pinks and purples. He's like, I don't know. They're both pink.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
So
Blue.
does he fly though?
He doesn't.
So he's like out.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to, or is it because the color?
He doesn't want to. I think my dad and I annoyed him so much that he's like, this
Push
is,
out.
I need to find something else to do.
But is your dad? Was he like a professional pilot, or is it something?
Yeah.
He did okay. Was he
So-
with airlines?
No, corporate pilot as well.
Okay.
And what I always love about aviation is that it does not have to be your first career. Like, yes, I am 25 and have, a 3-year career already in aviation, but you can be 25 and realize, I want to be a pilot and start your journey there. Or you could wake up and be 35 or 45.
I love it.
Your career will look different than maybe what your idol is doing or what your neighbor is doing, but you can absolutely still have a career in aviation.
There's always a chance, right?
Always a chance.
Gosh, I love it. I
Now,
love it.
Is there like, because we were kind of talking about earlier, I have some family in the military, and that's how they got their time in for flying. Now, if you were trying to become a pilot and not go down that route, what are some of the options that you have?
So what I did was I went to college,
Okay.
and it was Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
It's a full aviation college.
Yep.
Wow.
Nice.
Full 4-year private university, just like any other university you would apply to and get into. So, and it wasn't just flying. There was engineering, there was communications, there was business. Most of it all encompasses aviation or aerospace.
So they give you like the full broad spectrum.
Yeah.
Communications, the business behind it, like how the communications work, working with the tower, how you're supposed to talk, all that, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, if you want to become an air traffic controller, there's a degree for that.
That seems like a stressful job.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
I'm out.
Talk about being good at chess. That's what an air traffic controller described it. They were like, you have to know your players, you have to know where the pieces can go, where they can't go. And you always have to be thinking ahead of the airplane.
You know what's interesting is I watched this is terrible, okay. I watched Air Disasters. I think it's on Nat Geo. or
Yeah.
whatever. It's just interesting, right?
It is.
I didn't realize on a couple of them that I watched, the air traffic controller who's talking to the plane, if the plane goes down, the air traffic controller has to stop what he's doing and they isolate him. He has to be investigated too.
Yep.
I had no idea.
Yep.
I'm like, that's intense.
It really is.
Really intense.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine the stress? You're that air traffic controller and say it's an act of God and something happens,
Yeah.
but you still feel like, oh my God, I was the last person contacted. I'm now going to be isolated, investigated, pulled off the floor. That'd be stressful.
Oh my God, it is. Even on a normal day when everything goes well, yes, their job is incredibly stressful.
Oh my God. Do they get okay pay, hopefully?
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
hopefully
Do
they
they?
get paid
Yeah.
good.
Well, some I know are government and some are not. Like there's private towers and there's government towers. But yeah, from what I know, they sit comfortable.
As a pilot, whether it's a government tower or a private, you still speak the same language,
Yep.
right? It's all straight
Yep.
across
Same
the board.
phraseology. Yeah. Same thing.
Wow.
Man,
Holy
that
cow.
job sounds so
Yeah.
gnarly.
I know. So you did 4 years, and you're flying during that 4 years, right?
Yeah, so I was going to say that's the major difference though. So I go to classes like everyone else, my freshman year took 18 credits like an idiot.
Woo!
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Yeah, learned that
Yeah,
mistake.
I do 4 credits like every 4 months, and I'm stressed out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So and the worst part is your flying is only 1 credit. That's
Isn't
it.
that the majority of what you're doing,
really?
though?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
So you're like, I worked so hard. This is what's most important to me. And then it's so funny, like they grade you too, and they're like, oh, you got a B. You're like, I passed. That should be an A, Like
Yeah.
there's one goal, but that's my soapbox I'll stand on. But yeah, but I went to class like everyone else, and then I would have a block of flying time.
Oh.
And mostly since it was down in Daytona Beach, Florida, I would want the 6 to 9 a.m. because there was no thunderstorms. It was cool, because these airplanes don't have air conditioning. I mean, they have windows, but most of the times you can't even
right.
open
Yeah.
them because you're doing maneuvers
Yeah,
and
'cause
whatever else.
when I skydive, they pack us in like sardines in these
Yeah.
planes, and there's no AC in there. But
Nope.
once we open the door, usually around 7,000-8,000 feet, it's cold.
Yeah.
Even on a hot day, it cools off real quick. And then we get to 13,000 to jump. I'm like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Now in the winter when I skydive, it's freaking freezing.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's cold on the ground, and then once we start hitting up and we get to the 13,000, dude, everyone's like, let's go, get out of the plane. It's so cold.
They're like, who's got the hand warmers?
Yeah, well, I remember the first time I did it in the winter, I didn't think about having gloves. And we got up and I was like, my hands are so cold. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull my pilot chute. So I was like rubbing them and doing all this stuff to try and keep them warm.
Oh my gosh.
And we're falling through the sky. I'm like, my hands are so cold. I was so paranoid. I kept touching it the whole way down. I was like,
Still there.
I can grab it.
Yeah.
I can grab it. But
You
no,
need those,
I have gloves now.
you need those
Pro
hand
tip, wear
warmer-
gloves.
Those hand warmer packs. Yeah, or some
Yeah.
gloves, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So while you're going through school, I mean, you're getting a bachelor's in this, right?
Yep.
So you have a BS in aviation?
In aeronautical science, and then my minor was aviation safety. Wow. Yeah.
Damn, girl.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
It was awesome too because you take really realistic classes. Like I remember my senior, there was one class where we have this computer system. Most large jets have it. It's called an FMS, and it's pretty much where it's a giant calculator essentially. So when you need to calculate your like how much distance it will take you from point A to when you're going to take off, that's the most simple way I can describe it. Whenever you need those numbers, you just plug whatever you need into the FMS and it spits out your numbers and your data for you.
Okay.
So there was a class we took where we had to program. Our final project was you sit with the instructor and he gives you a flight plan and you're going from JFK to London Heathrow and you need to program your FMS to make sure that the flight actually goes and all your numbers are correct and your weight is correct and everything else that goes with the flight. And it was very realistic because now I'm using pretty much the same FMS in my airplane today.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that takes into account it's like what the load is that you're carrying.
Yep.
Everything.
You put in how
along
many
those-
passengers.
Yeah.
And, what I do, we use standard weights.
Okay.
But in my old airplane, it was a smaller single engine turboprop. Yeah, those 20 pounds matter. You can't just say, all right, you're 195, call it like end of day.
Right.
I'd have to ask you, what's your weight? And it was funny, whenever we had a female female passenger, I was always tasked to go ask them their weight because no one wants to go up and be like, excuse me, ma'am.
How much do you weigh?
How much do you weigh? And she's like, excuse me?
Yeah. I know, that would be interesting to try to ask a female. My God.
You're like, listen,
Yeah,
lady,
yep.
it's gonna make or break the flight.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to be honest here.
Yeah. And most of the time, like it wouldn't unless we're like really packing in bags and people. But you still got to know it's really a legal issue. You have to have their actual weights.
Okay. Yeah. It reminded me of like those movies you see. Like it's always like those drug runner like cartel movie or whatever
Yep.
where they're like cutting out seats and stuff to pack in their product or whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so weight is a humongous importance, obviously, depending on what you're
Definitely.
flying. That's crazy.
So it's
I can't believe you're a pilot. Like, so I'm like,
It's awesome.
I have a fear of flying. And when
no,
I
you're
mean
good.
fear of flying, it means I'll do it. Like I'm going to fly either
Yep.
way because it's the only way I really want to get there quick. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm a horrible like passenger, meaning like if we hit any turbulence whatsoever, like I'm going to rip the arms of the seats off.
Yeah. I was going to say you're like a
because-
white knuckler.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, I try to have a couple drinks, I say it's because, it's like, oh, I'm scared, but they're like, sure, you just want to have some drinks. I'm like, no, seriously, I'm freaking out inside.
Yeah.
And, had a couple experiences when I was younger, flying where we hit some good turbulence and like that freaked me out for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But, like I kind of wanted to like segue into a question as far as like what's common misnomers, like when you hit turbulence, what the reality is like that it's because of a plane malfunction or it's just riding through the weather or
It's
like, how
just
does that work?
air.
Just air.
Yep.
So I'm just afraid of air is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Different air temperatures depending on where you are. If you're near mountain range, so flying over Denver, you're definitely going to have some sort of turbulence. It's all because of that. Yeah. And that's my favorite question too. Like I'll have people either on Instagram or just friends. They're like, but can you make it stop? I'm like, no,
I can't
I
change
wish
the
I
weather.
could. But what we can do is, we can try to look for different flight levels, different altitude. Those are the same things. But
The altitude
just to
matters though,
see-
right?
Yeah.
With your turbulence, you go higher or less, or if you're lower.
it depends on the time of year. There's a lot of factors that go into it. But generally, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But like an airline, when you have 100-something people and bags, it's harder for them. They're heavier and they're weight restricted for their altitudes. That's why normally if you're on like a 737, you're probably at like 37, 38. And from the high 20s to the high 30s, yeah, that's a really turbulent layer there.
Oh, okay.
Just generally speaking. So
So the heavier you are, the lower you have to fly, or higher.
The lower.
Lower.
Because you may not be able to make it up there.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's really
Yeah.
interesting.
And so when you are,
Oh my God, I'm getting nervous. I'm like, am I going to have to teach them aerodynamics?
no. Like we actually brought a chartboard here.
You're like, we have a whiteboard.
for you to bring it in. Yeah.
As I said before, we put water on fire. We're very simple people.
Keep it
No, I
simple.
love this. Yeah, because I was saying before too. It's when you talk to other pilots, you find yourself in this in-depth conversation with acronyms and phrases, and all of a sudden you are talking about aerodynamics, and someone whips out a calculator, like the nerds we are. But it's great to sit and explain things to people who aren't pilots, and I feel like it's very educational because it's a world that no one really knows. Even though someone like yourself, we fly on airplanes all the time to get to where we need to go, but you still have no idea what's involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've flown. I've flown. I've flown, probably more than the average person, just traveling and whatnot. And I never take the time to one, look it up, which is stupid because I have all resources at my fingertips with your phone, right? At least you can get some ideas of it. I typically just look at the flight attendant and I give them the eye, we're good, right? And they're like, we're fine. You're okay. They'll be like, no, sir, we're good. I'm like, okay, thank you. But after the fifth or sixth time I asked them that, they started looking at me like I have an issue, because I'm just sweating and I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. But I just find it so fascinating. And it's just air, temperature changes. You're is it having going from hot to cold or whatever can change your
different air masses, especially if there's some sort of front, high pressure, low pressure, all those things take into effect. Yeah.
Well, God bless you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
I would be a horrible pilot.
I was gonna say you actually should learn how to fly. It might cure your frightness, your
fear.
Your
My
fear.
fear.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good
Why
pilot.
did I think frightness was a word?
I just want to be the one on the.
That's good.
I just want to be the one on the PA, just saying, "This is your captain speaking. We're going to be flying to."
Yeah.
And then just real draw it out.
Yeah, well,
I think it's hilarious. Yeah.
I love that. No, I think I've told a story sometime on one of these episodes, but I was flying in the Billings, and I guess they're known for a strong crosswind at this airport. And I don't know what you call it, but it was a female pilot too. Remember, she was a captain. She came over. It's a little bit of turbulence. We're going to land, all this, right? Well, we're flying, and I have a window seat. And this was probably back in 2012. I was flying out there to help a friend with his record. And the plane's coming in, and we're thinking, cool, we're doing our thing, seatbelts on. It's bouncing around. And then we're coming into the runway, and the plane turns fucking sideways into the wind, and I'm looking at the runway from the passenger seat. I was like, yo, dude, what the hell is happening right now?
Yes.
And he came down. I was like, dude, this is it. I'm done. I'm accepting my fate. Whatever's next, I'm sure it's going to be great. I was like, fuck it. Whatever. It's over. And then last minute, fucking wham, straight down. What do they call that?
So that's a crosswind correction.
Crosswind correction?
Yeah, you're crabbing into the wind.
I almost crosswind my ass in the next life, dude.
That's okay. So at least
I was fucking scared. I was scared. I really was. I was like, what is happening right now?
dude, 100%. That's what it's called, crabbing into it. Because I had a similar experience landing in Costa Rica, and it's so funny because I feel like every time something happens, I always say oh my God. I was like, if you want to take the plane down after the trip, do it. But I was like, right now, let me just get to the destination first.
Yeah, just get me
I have
there.
These little,
Yeah.
It's
things
the
to go
one
over.
time out of the year I pray. I'm like, I know I'm a piece of shit.
A lot of bad decisions.
If you just let this land, I'll become a pastor. I'll change my life. Land's like, just get a fucking drink.
We're good.
I'll meet you at the bar.
High five. Yeah, no, it was when at Costa Rica, it was we weren't going in sideways, but we were teetering a lot. And
Okay.
and it was to the point where a lot of the passengers were going,
It sounds like a massage chair almost.
yeah. So I'm which was kind of cool because I felt like I wasn't crazy. I'm is anyone else feeling this? Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone was feeling it.
Yeah.
But the cockpit of the door came open.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and
From the turbulence, or they opened it?
I don't know. All I can say is that during this time, we were supposed to be getting pretty close to it, and I'm doing my white knuckle thing, and I'm looking at my friends. I'm like, we're gonna make it, right? We're good, And I looked down the aisle, and the door was open, and I see the landing strip and this. you know, and
Oh
like
my
we're feeling it.
gosh.
So we're going like this. You could feel the movement. They're coming in, and like because they had already warned about the like headwinds or something along the lines that there was going to be some issues landing.
Yep.
I guess to give everyone a little bit of a preparation that they.
Let me guess. Was that Newark?
I don't remember what.
Okay.
It was landing into Costa Rica.
Oh, sorry. I thought you
So
said.
it was-
I was thinking New Jersey for some
Oh
reason.
no, it was.
I was like, yeah, they get bad.
San
winds.
Jose. Is that the one? It's like on the. It doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
it was one of the airports there. And anyway, so like you're saying, like when it was happening, I was just like, dude, I just want to go on this trip. You know,
Right.
like whatever
Like, you
happens
just wanna
after this.
live, yeah.
I was like, or live, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
just throwing it out there. But no, it's crazy because all the little things, you know. But then at the end of the day, when you hear about it, someone from the industry is like, yeah, dude, like
It's normal.
This is another day. Yeah, it was probably a little shaky, but we're good.
Yeah. Yep.
You know?
It's interesting how it's like it doesn't phase you. It's almost like probably in our careers, people are like, how do you do that? You go and it's like, well, what's what we're trained for? Like we
Well,
we're
it's,
going to madness all the
I was
time.
just about to say, you guys can probably relate because it's one of those where it's like you have nerves, but they're good nerves because you're also
Yeah.
confident in your abilities, you're confident in your training and your skills. So it's, I always say if you ask a pilot and they're like, do you ever get nervous? And they say no, run. Like, do not get on an airplane with them because that's just false. Everyone gets nervous. It's a human reaction. So yeah, in a situation like that, like, yeah, my palms are probably sweaty, but I know what to do. I know how to correct. And worst case scenario, you always go around. You just try again.
Right.
Because there's no point in botching it on the runway, blowing a tire, and then all of a sudden you're stuck and you have to evacuate the passengers.
Right.
Fire trucks come out. It's a huge commotion. You can just go around and try again because the wind always changes. It will still probably be blowing, but
Yeah.
every second it's going to be something different. So maybe it'll be easier once you're lower to the ground and, you just get a second chance at it.
I love the confidence. Sam, bro,
Yo.
what would you do if you saw the runway from the window seat? I'm thinking about you right now. If I was sitting next to you, I could see both of us just losing our minds.
Yeah, I shit myself. Yeah. All over the window. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it's actually quite simple. I would just crap, and then I just anticipate on just what the next move would be.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you're at the mercy of whoever's flying the plane, right?
Yeah.
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 Well, hey, so when you're in school, is there a certain amount of hours, probably school, or if you're getting your private lessons, what are the hours you need to start flying on your own solo?
Well, to get your this is like a quiz now, but to get your private pilot's license, you need 40 hours to get your license. I think it's like you need 40 hours by your check ride or something
Minimum,
like
right?
that.
Is that
Yeah.
minimum?
Yeah.
And that's 40 hours. It takes a while.
Yeah, but most people, that's if you're flying like maybe 3 to 4 times a week consistently. You can maybe knock it out in like a couple months, but I flew pretty regularly, maybe 3 times a week, but I went into school because I had flown with my dad a little bit in high school, so I had a couple hours. But when I got my private, I think I had like 80 hours.
Okay.
So it's not like, oh, you got your private at 100 hours, like you must be bad. No, it's a matter of, if you need to redo something, redo it. Just
be
figure it
proficient,
out.
be comfortable.
Yeah. And it's not as simple as school. It's not one of those things that, oh, I haven't flown in a week, but I can just pick it up right where I left off. You really can't. Consistency is absolutely key. And even, if I go a month without flying, I look at the books.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's very smart.
It's not like riding a bike at all.
Yeah. I like that you say consistency. I fully believe that anything that we pursue or anyone pursues to do well at something, you have to have consistency.
100%.
You can't just be like, oh, I'll do it this week. I'll take a couple weeks off. Like anything you're trying to achieve or go for, like you gotta go to 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to make you better, right? We've learned that from the things that we do in our job. I mean, it's just repetition.
Yeah.
It's over and over and over. I mean, to the point now, we've been in 15 years. Call goes out. It's like we know exactly what to do.
Yep.
We're to the point. We're on it,
Yep.
So I love that you say that because I think that's super important, not just with aviation or if you're doing public service, like anything in life. You want to be successful or do well, like consistency, sacrifice, do what you need to do to get to where you want to go. Because, it took 4 years, you grew up in it, but look where you're at now.
Yeah.
You know, so you're entrusted with expensive things.
Oh my
to fly and lives, right?
To say the
Very.
least, yes.
Yeah, and you got
Yeah.
people's lives in your hand, right? You're in charge. You're
Yeah.
flying and all that. So I love that you said that. That's really I think that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, and I read an article the other day because I do have this passion for aviation safety as well, second to flying. But I was reading this article and it there was a quote that said, when an emergency happens, you don't revert back to your training, you revert back to your proficiency.
Oh.
And that really stuck with me because, we go 6 months, every 6 months we go to training and the best simulators in the world with the best instructors in the country and or the world. And, the training is top echelon. But in an emergency, I'm not going to revert back to that training. I'm going to revert back to how proficient I am with that training.
I got you.
So it's important, but that's something I also stress when people are like, oh, I'm scared of flying. I don't trust the pilots or things like that. We train for emergencies. It's not like when we go to training, it's like, all right, let's do a really easy takeoff, no wind, calm day, blue skies. Right. You're in there and we call it the sweat box for a reason because you lose engines left and right.
Oh yeah, you lost an
baby
engine.
screaming in the back, your baggage compartment exploded, and they're like, figure it out.
Yeah, it's the
Get us on the
craziest.
ground.
It's probably like the most extreme thing you can have, right?
Yeah.
But that's good in case that does happen, or at least if it's something less, like something that's minor. It
Yeah.
won't be as crazy for, right? You're used to that stress load. So you have to
Absolutely.
go every 6 months?
Yeah, I think we're supposed to go once a year, but yeah, we go every 6 months.
Damn, and you have to pass, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why it's a big deal, especially for airline pilots. You go back to training and it's stressful for them because you have to pass and your career is essentially on the line.
Yeah, I don't think people know that.
I
I never
don't
knew
think
that.
so.
I didn't know that, and I'll tell you what, that makes me feel a lot more comfortable with knowing the strenuous
Yeah.
training and like consistency in the training it makes sense because you want people in these positions, right? We're talking about expense of cost and people's lives, and so that's I think very reassuring to hear that it's not like once you pass, you're good.
Yeah, it's not like a driver's license.
Yeah, and that's like even because like we're talking about like our profession too, right? We're constantly doing training, we're constantly getting reevaluated, and I liked what you said earlier that if you hadn't done it in a while, you kind of hit the books.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like I do the same thing. Like there's. Obviously, it's probably a lot the same, right? Because there's so many different planes and different capacities and different stuff. Just like when we work on different, fire engines or trucks, and everyone's kind of the same, but they have different features or different places where certain things are. So you kind of always have to like, oh, I haven't done this one in a while. I'm gonna read up real quick, to make sure.
Yeah.
And yeah. Just I thought it was cool how you said that you don't. It's not that you resort back to just your training. Right? It's just everything that you've been consistent with, and it's real life experience. And it all kind of melds together in that instant that you have to make a quick judgment decision.
Yep.
That's really cool. And I still think that what you do is crazy, but it's a really admirable position. That's super, that sounds awesome.
Thank you. I mean, it is. I still pinch myself because I wake up and I'm so excited to go.
Yeah.
Even sometimes I look at the schedule, I'm like, oh, I'm not flying for 2 weeks. Even just the other day I reached out to my boss and I was like, can I take this flight? I want to go. And I don't think people would look at their iCalendar and say, oh, yes, there's a meeting. I want to go to that.
It's cool though. That's a lot of people. I can't remember what the stat was. I think it's around 80%, at least in America. They go to jobs they do not like,
Yeah.
and I think about me, and I'm fortunate enough that I worked hard and achieved where I'm at. And I always say, like, I get to go to work.
Yep.
It's not like, oh my God, I have to go to work.
I have to go to
right?
work.
At least for us, it's probably the same with you, but it's something new every day, right? We don't know the calls we're going to
Yeah.
get. We don't know if it's going to be a fire, or an accident, or a natural disaster, or whatever it's going to be. But we go to work, we do our checkouts, we're on the ready, we do our thing. And there's a strong brotherhood, sisterhood there too. But I think, the training that you're doing and what you've done is pretty awesome too, because you're a female. And I love seeing females in these roles. I have nieces. I have 3 nieces. Oh shit, is it 3?
He lost count.
God dang. I'm sorry. There's 8 of these kids running around all over the place. I don't have kids, so I don't know. But I always want them to feel empowered. Like, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yes.
I hope you can. I hope you don't become a firefighter or a pilot or a doctor or whatever it may be. I hope those barriers keep getting those walls get busted down with people like yourself,
Absolutely.
you know? And that's why I remember seeing your Instagram. That's how we met.
Yeah.
Through social media, right?
It is.
Which is really cool. I was like, what the heck? I saw some post and it's like you were flying and I'm like, oh, this is rad. I was like, I'm just going to follow this. This is really cool. Like, she's a pilot. I want to fly one day, you know, hopefully. But, and then I remember seeing your progression and then you like put a post up that you got hired by this corporate company. And I remember I still hadn't met you and I was celebrating for you. I was like, yes.
I know. You were like one of the biggest cheerleaders too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause I want people to be successful and go after what they want to go after. It's like you said, for you, it's like, oh, I want to fly. I want to, you know, I want to stress that to people so much. If you're in a position that, you know, you're unhappy with, or you're working a job that you don't want to work, you know, have the courage to start something new in training and go after what you want. It's difficult. I get it. Everyone's situation is different. Financially, kids, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I always think it's not impossible. Don't sell yourself short and get through life. And at the end, you have that what if. Like, damn, I should have done this or wanted to. People think I'm nuts. Yeah, I'm always surfing, skydiving, doing mountain biking stuff, right? People look at my social media like, dude, you're a madman. I'm like, well, I'm enjoying my life. I'm doing the things that I want to do. Yeah, I get hurt. So like last week, I thought my left knee I thought I had an ostrich leg. I came in super hot on this landing skydiving and my leg went straight. Yeah, and I hit it hard. Oh. And I laid there and I was just like, okay, I got an ostrich leg on my right leg or my left leg. This is it. I'm going to be out for a long time. And then I'm like, I'm not looking at it.
Oh, just don't look at it.
Yeah, I'm not looking. And I moved. I'm like, okay, it's bending the right direction. Okay, it doesn't hurt too bad. I was like, whew, thank God, man. Thank God, because it was super close. It's dangerous, but I don't know. It's calculated, right? They teach you, and like in everything that we do, they teach you safety protocols.
Yeah.
People think like skydiving. You could die anything you do. Okay, if you remember your training and all this stuff, you're gonna be fine. And when I go and I haven't skydived in a little bit, I go through all my checks. I check everything out. I go through my procedures. It's the same thing. I'm like, okay, I got to do this. I'm gonna pull here. Yeah. This is the level I'm supposed to pull at. So all that to say, I love that you went for what you went for, and I love that nothing has like held you back. And you keep going. And I can see, at least on your social media, you're getting more females following you.
Absolutely.
And I dig it. I'm just like, yes, Kim, keep fucking going. You're inspiring people. Like, please keep going, you know?
Thank you.
Kudos on you because you're more of an inspiration, I think, than you know for a lot of people, for male, female, whatever it is. So please keep doing what you're doing. And I'm glad that you came here on the podcast. I hope that if there's any, females or males out there doing something that you don't want to do and you have dreams, it's okay to work in the job that you don't want to do. We all had to do it.
Yeah.
There's a means to an end to get somewhere.
Yep.
But don't give up. Consistency.
Yes.
Keep working at it. Keep chipping away because time goes by and next thing you know, boom. It's all right. It took me 13 years to get my bachelor's. I took one class every 8 weeks. It's all I could afford. Right? I got a mortgage, working full time. And the next thing you know, it was like 2 years ago, I finished my class. They're like, congratulations. Oh, that's it?
Yeah, you're like, I'm done?
Did it.
Look, that's it. All right, cool. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I think what's neat about about even like this like kind of scenario that we have here, right? It's because like I just met you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously what you're doing is very admirable and impressive and all that stuff. But I think the cool part about it is that hopefully when people watch this, they see like they're like, dude, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying to take anything away from you personally, because obviously you have to be motivated, consistent, all the things above to get where you wanted to go. But your age, what you do, not the age is relative. And I like what you said earlier, that it doesn't matter how old you are. If this is a passion that you wanted to pursue, that you can get yourself in that position to be successful. Mm-hmm. I just think that having more of this out there, right? It normalizes it a little bit. You know what I mean? Or brings it down. Because I feel like sometimes when you're talking to people, like,
it's too fantasy.
You're like, well, I'm a commercial pilot, and I fly, like private jets, and I do all this stuff. To me, like if we go back like 15 years ago, like I'd be like, I can never do that.
Yeah.
Obviously not just because of the afraid of flying thing, but I just mean like there's like certain positions, or if you want to say like a neurosurgeon, or you want to do, you know what I mean?
It's intimidating.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's cool when you get the opportunity to talk to somebody that does something that you thought is like an unattainable thing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And not that it takes away from what that person does, but it makes it seem it's a reachable,
Obtainable.
feel, right? You know what I mean? And so like with people hearing that, it's like men, women, whoever, like it's like if you want to do that, you can do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like, it's so cool hearing that stuff on here because it's just like, yeah, go talk about it, be about it. You know what I mean? That's rad. Anyway.
I'm so glad you guys both said that because, speaking of Instagram too, like I absolutely hate when people call me an influencer because I'm like, I
know,
get
I'm
it.
right there
Like,
with you.
I just think the word is ridiculous. And, when you think of that, you think of, the girl trying to persuade you to buy something off Shein.
And she's in a full bikini.
Yeah.
Here's this bottle of
And
water.
I get it.
Yeah, take these weight loss pills. Look how awesome they were.
Oh my God.
Like, get out of here.
Don't get me on my soapbox. No, but it's true. Like we think of all these stereotypes of the typical quote unquote influencer. So I just get really skeeved out by that word. But I always say I believe in education and advocacy. And that's what we're doing here today. Like you're asking me questions about turbulence and I'm, to some capacity educating on what that is. And then another friend asked me a couple weeks ago, he was like, I know you advocate for women in aviation, but when will you be happy? Like when the numbers are what percentage of women in aviation, when will you be happy? And I said, well, it's not about the numbers. I'm not looking for 50% women or 60% women or 70% women. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for little girls to be able to go to school and not be put in a box.
I love it.
And, for your nieces to say, I want to be a pilot and have that be normal. Have someone go, oh, sweetie, maybe.
Right.
And it's because even then it's a supportive answer, but it's not a realistic answer.
Yeah, it's almost like
There's still that little bit of doubt of,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Almost like gender roles and jobs.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, no, you're not going to limit, my family and the females in my family. And my dad was a big proponent of this. I remember with my sister. A little background on my sister. So we have the same mom, different dad. So when my dad married my mom had 2 little girls already, very young. And their dad, they're full black. I'm only half. And my dad took them on like he was their own. Right. And it was awesome. And it wasn't popular then. This is like 1978.
Yeah.
So I remember even in the family, there were parts of on my dad's side of the family that were not happy with it. And my dad was like, cool, screw you. I love this woman. I love these kids. I'm going for it.
Good for him.
And I remember my sister was playing softball and she's like, well, I want to play baseball. My dad's like, all right, we'll do it.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Put her on the baseball. Well, he couldn't get her on a team, so he made a baseball team. And he got all the, so
My heart.
since he was like the new coach, right? They have tryouts for this pony league, whatever they call it, pony league.
Pony
or something.
league,
Yeah.
yeah.
And since he was a new coach, he got all the kids that weren't good, nobody wanted. But my dad, a lot of people don't know, he was, I think he played AAA for the Dodgers a long time ago. He was actually a really good baseball player. He's, yeah, I know. It's a weird.
I feel like I learned all these things about
Yeah.
your dad. He's like
But he
James
ne-
Bond.
dude, he never talks
pro
about it.
baseball player.
Yeah, but he's a military guy. He's special ops, so he's a real low key dude, but he's a phenomenal sharp man. And he got this team, and he's like, cool. I remember the time he's like, that's fine. We're gonna win. And sure enough, he taught all these kids the basics. And my sister was on this team. They fucking won
That
everything.
is so
They
sweet,
beat
sweet
everyone.
karma.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we still have pictures and like old school video, and she's freaking knocking them out of the park.
Oh,
and my dad's like, "Go run!" You can see their coaches all pissed and throwing their hats. I'm just like, "Go get him, Dad."
Yeah.
But he was such a supporter, and even my mom, she was a sheriff for a little bit. And I remember this as a kid. She was real nervous about it, but she always said, like, "Your dad supported me through everything." She said she wanted. He's like, "Okay," and she was scared about not getting through the physical agility part. So I guess for their physical agility, they got to run and then they got to like hop over this 6-foot wall. My mom couldn't do it. He freaking called up the sheriffs and be like, "Hey, we want to come down and train at the training center. I want to show my wife how to get it." And they're like, "Yeah." He took her over there and like showed her techniques to how to get over this wall. Sure enough, she freaking passed.
But the best part of that story is he asked. It's not like he was like, well, okay, maybe if you're naturally good at this. Like I always tell people, just ask.
Right.
The worst they can say is no.
Right.
And it's you just have to be vulnerable enough to put yourself out there. And I kind of relate that back to my story too. Like I I told anyone with a pair of ears what I wanted to do. I said, I have 3 goals. I want to fly Gulfstream around the world. I want to be CAM certified, which is just a certified aviation manager. Pretty much you study really long for this test. And then you get a certificate, but it's a huge deal. And I want to be director of safety or chief pilot for a corporate company. And, I said that for a year. I had people laugh at me. I had CEOs of management companies pat me on the head and say,
that's such
maybe
bullshit.
in 10 years,
It's so demeaning and just disrespectful.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I love that, your dad was one of those people that, he just asked for an opportunity and someone gave it to him. Yeah. An opportunity does not mean that you have to be right place, right time. Someone's going to come up to you with an envelope. You can make your own opportunities. And I fully believe in that. And, it's a little bit spiritual, but I believe, if you put it out in the universe and you can manifest it.
I'm 100% with you on that
Absolutely.
one. Yeah. It's really cool. I think I get a lot of that from my father too is, at that time it wasn't popular to be, with somebody outside your race during that time. And he's always a person who's low key, but he went against the flow.
Yeah.
And he supported everyone. He loved everyone. And he's like, if you want to do it, go for it. But if you're going to do it, make sure you give it 100%.
Yep.
So no one could hold anything against
That's
you.
so funny. My dad would always say, really similar, but he would like, if you are, I'm trying to think of it. I don't want to mess it up. If you're wrong or if you're right, you better fight until everyone knows that you were right. But if you're wrong, you better be the first one to stand up and admit that you were wrong.
I like that.
And it's really similar to giving your 100%,
And you guys brought up, I don't want to backtrack too much because I feel like there's like a lot of good talking points in what this conversation leads to, right? So we're talking about, because you're saying like gender roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's that is part of an issue as far as having kids, think what they're capable of doing, right? So whether it's traditionally male versus female versus what the opportunity, right, what they can achieve. And I like what you said because I feel like when you have that conversation, the typical answer is, well, like if it's a male dominated industry and they're, talking about bringing in women, I think, and we work in that industry as well,
Absolutely.
in which there's a lot more female firefighters that probably in the last 6-7 years than there has been in a long time, and I think that the good part is that, or the important part is that it's not because you're trying to hit a percentage, right? Or at least that's what I would think. The goal isn't to be like change qualifications to allow for a certain percentage because your overall output of work has to hit a standard.
Yeah.
Right? But the idea of encouraging that I think is good.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be like if you're a little kid and you think that like, okay, if you're a girl, if you want to play baseball or football or whatever sport, be a pilot, a firefighter, a police officer, whatever, right? I don't think that ever should cross the mind of a child of being that I can't do it.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're doing these things,
Let's
go,
if we're, and it's tough sometimes because you have old school, right, versus new school, and not saying that either of them are 100% correct because there is ways, there's things to do, and these things have to be worked through and stuff because when you're even talking about your grading part, right, of flight school, right, or I think of like if you're a neurosurgeon, I use that again, I don't know why. Apparently, in my upper tier of job titles, neurosurgeons like way
doesn't
up
look
there.
up to a neurosurgeon,
right? But what I'm saying,
you got a point.
But when you go through your qualifications training and you're getting graded, right? There shouldn't be an A, B, C, or D, right? It should be, can you do it or can you not? Period.
Perfect.
And I think that's kind of trending, for hopefully like as things are going forward and stuff, because that's the reality of it, is that it doesn't matter who's working in that position as long as you're competent. Now what that competency is the hard part.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where things get changed because you're like, oh, they changed the test so they can have this or this, but the reality is overall, the big push is that if anyone wants to do the job, they should have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
But if you can't make it in that job, it isn't because of who you are or what gender you associate with or whatever the scenario is. It's because you just can't do the job.
Yeah.
Which is also okay.
Right.
Because there is that part of it too, right? Is that it's like, where is the difference in the push, right? The push isn't that we're trying to say like, hey, everyone could do everything all the time. It's unrealistic.
Yep.
But having, but the opportunity to do it, I think is the goal here, right? And so
Yeah.
when you are a kid, because when you say that, I just think, I'm like, man, for how long was that way?
Yeah.
As you're being a kid thinking like, okay, well, I'm never going to be able to do this. Maybe me as a child, I was like, I'm never going to be a neurosurgeon, which I'm not, nor will I ever be. But you know what I mean? Like at the point of like, just as far as restricting the thought process of, hey, maybe I can get there.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome, and you have firsthand experience, and what I can only assume is a very male-dominated industry.
Oh yeah.
So
I think the latest statistics just came out that the FAA reported, and for pilots, I think it's 7% of the industry.
Female?
Yep, 7% is female, and then for aircraft mechanics, it's 2% of the industry.
2%.
I could not believe that. I thought it was at least 5.
Wow.
But 2%.
now, do you think that's because of a lack of interest, or do you think that you know what I'm
think
saying?
it's a
It's
lack-
like because
Yeah.
it's like there's also those sides of it too, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you only have 2% of the aero mechanic, is that would be the right word? To
Yeah,
say?
aircraft mechanic.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, as far as like, I see that's so crazy because like I didn't even know that would be a job. I know now as an
Yeah.
adult, but like growing up, you know what I mean?
Well,
like you're like, oh,
and
that'd be an industry.
that's I think probably the leading cause. When there's career day and the exposure is just not there. But I'm so thankful because there's organizations. If I can plug. This would be my shameless
whatever you
plug.
want, yeah.
There's women in aviation. There's women in corporate aviation. Even Young Eagles. There's all these great organizations out there who put on events for the next generation. And in October, there's always Girls in Aviation Day, and it is just it is the most heartwarming event because. Again, the goal is not to convince all the little girls who go to this to become pilots or astronauts or mechanics or flight attendants or dispatchers. It's to let them know that it's there.
Yes.
It's an option if you want it. And who knows, maybe they go, well, I like the mechanic side of it. I'm really good, but I like math and science. Maybe I want to become an engineer. Or maybe I want to become a car mechanic.
Yeah, you never know what's going to
it's-
inspire, right?
Exactly.
I love
It's
it.
just getting those wheels spinning in the exposures. Like you were saying, that's definitely the leading cause. I personally feel.
Yeah, I never.
Just the awareness.
Yeah, what he said when you brought that up about being a mechanic, I never thought about that either.
Yeah.
I'm thinking because we have motors in our vehicles, right? So you always know mechanics. I'd never thought about that with planes.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you have to have them. I remember reading something. This was last year, but I think it's a generational thing too because the you freaking boomers. All the boomers gonna boom, baby. Let's go. They're all retiring, right? So there's this big gap in all these career fields that need to be filled,
Yeah.
right? We're seeing it in our, where we work. There's a
That's
huge
why there's a
gap.
pilot shortage.
That's what I was gonna say. They're saying there's a huge pilot shortage
Yep.
right now.
Oh.
So I wonder how they're gonna combat that. If they're gonna, I wouldn't say make it easier, but I'm trying to say this here. Will airline companies hire people with less hours and get them up to par before they put them in the plane?
So pretty much.
Okay.
There's new programs coming out. Like Southwest has one.
I think I saw that
What was
one.
the
I
other
read
one?
it.
Yeah, it's like Destination 225, where there's 3 different categories that you can fall into. Are you and don't quote me. Hopefully, you have a fact checker at the end of this.
Sam.
Perfect. You can
you're
look
good.
up this program, but I'm pretty sure they'll take people off the street.
Oh,
and
wow.
they'll put them into a cadet training and say, get your private, get your instrument, get your commercial, build up, become a flight instructor. Then you're going to get hired at one of our partner companies, and then you fly for them. So you fly on the corporate side doing charters and you get your jet time, you get your multi-engine time because it's all built on time.
Okay.
For a company like Southwest, you probably need like 2,000 hours total time, 1,000 jet time. So that takes years.
And that's with all your what are the ratings you have to have?
So you start with your private pilot's license, which if I had to equate it to something, it's almost like being able to drive a go-kart.
Okay.
You're like, I can drive, I can't go very fast and, fly the fanciest things, but I can drive.
Yeah.
Then you get your instrument. So you're able to fly in the clouds.
What is that VFR, right? Or is that
So VFR is visual flight rules. Yep. So that's your private pilot's license.
Yo.
IFR. Yeah.
I knew something about
There we
aviation,
go.
people.
There we go.
I don't just fall from the planes.
And then IFR is instrument flight rules.
Okay.
So yeah, flying in the clouds, you're getting more advanced, different weather, you're shooting approaches, things like that. Then you get your commercial, which at 250 hours, then you can fly passengers for hire. So you can actually get paid. So as a private pilot, you can't just start transporting people and charging them. That's illegal.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So then
You should probably stop doing that, Kim. No, I'm kidding.
He's joking. He's
kidding. It's
joking.
a joke, yeah.
That's not true at all.
So commercial, and then normally what people will do is get their flight instructor's license. So their CFI, and then CFI is you teach private students.
And that gets you more hours, right?
It does.
Let's go.
And it's a way to get paid to get more hours.
Ah.
But of course, I'm difficult. I'm the black sheep of everything. So I
Good.
did it differently.
Hell yeah.
So I did private instrument, and then I did my multi-commercial.
What's
Which
multi-commercial
means, so I flew an airplane with 2 engines rather than 1 to get my commercial license.
Okay.
And then I did a single engine add-on. So pretty much then I went back to a single engine airplane, got the commercial rating in that airplane.
So you did it kind of backwards as opposed to like starting.
Yeah.
Like, would that be like a fixed wing, single prop engine leading up to
Yeah.
like a jet?
Yeah,
Trying to throw out some things.
yeah.
No, but that's cool. What did you find it was easier to? Would that be like kind of like regressing into the first, like, because it's like you started with like the Corvette and you moved to a minivan, or
Let's see if I can think of an analogy, but the reasoning behind why I did it that way was because I knew I didn't want to become an airline pilot. So
Okay.
corporate has a little bit more flexibility in that there's different types of airplanes you can fly with different minimums for your hours. So like I was saying, 2,000 hours for Southwest. So I figured if I can get more multi-time right from the start, that would make me a more attracted candidate for a corporate company.
I love it.
And then I also thought, because it's really expensive. I have to just put that out there. If you want to become a pilot, I mean, savings is key, having a job, just planning ahead.
They do
essentially.
school loans for this. Can you get school loans?
I
for
think
some of
so.
that? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's options out there, scholarships and everything else, but it's not cheap, unfortunately. So I figured what I could do is graduate, get my multi-commercial single engine add-on, get a job, and then on the weekends do my CFI.
Okay.
I figured let me just get a salary because I have student loans, so let me start paying them off.
Right.
And then, I'll work up from there because time for me wasn't a huge issue. A lot of people are like, I need to get to the airlines. I need to get to the airlines because your seniority number matters. Even if you're 30 seniority numbers back, when something like COVID happens, that could be you losing your job or keeping your job.
Man, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That makes
wow.
So that's why everyone, if you want to go to the airlines, it's like, let me get there as fast as possible. But for me, I was like, well, that's not a huge priority. It's important, but it's not a huge priority. So that's what I did. And it worked out in my favor because I pretty much graduated and I applied for every job around the country, no matter what the minimums were. I was like, I don't care what you want. Here's who I am. Can we make it work?
I love it.
And actually, there was a company back at my home airport in Westchester, and I just applied, and the title, I think, was flight locator, which means you're essentially a dispatcher. So someone who makes sure the airplane is regulatory and legal to fly, and then, you do all the flight, not necessarily flight planning, but planning for the flight. So catering, passengers, weights, all of these things that go into the pre-planning of the flight. So I'm in the interview, and it's a phone interview with the director of operations, and he's like, maybe half an hour in, he's like, so why don't you want to fly anymore? I'm like, oh, no, I want to fly. And I told him my plan. I said, I'm thinking of getting this job, doing my CFI on the weekends. Once I have enough hours and have a good rapport with you, maybe you could hire me to be one of your pilots. He's like, we have this airplane where you can be a second in command. We would also put you in the office. You're making a salary. He's like, well, and we just came up with this job together.
Oh,
That
no
is
way.
so awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's that's why I really talk about the opportunities, because if I would have just kept my mouth shut and, or if he had never asked me that question, or if I was never honest, like if I thought maybe I was going to offend him by saying, I'm essentially going to use you guys for a little bit and then hopefully ask for a better job down the road.
Yeah.
Maybe I thought he was going to be offended or think that I was asking for too much. Because that's a real fear.
Yeah.
But you just got to say it,
You got to put yourself out. And I like that you did that. You applied everywhere. You put yourself out there. You weren't afraid to get a job that wasn't what you wanted to do, but you knew you were going to get to where you wanted to
Yeah.
go. I think it's kind of being lost right now generationally. We see it a lot where people are just like, well, I just want to be the CEO or the head pilot. It's like, well, dude, we all, everyone start at the bottom.
You
That's
got to
the
be a
part of
good
it.
employee to be a good boss.
Right. Right.
That's what I think.
They got to be able to trust you with the small before they give you the great.
Yep.
Right. God, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
This whole conversation, I keep thinking of like the same like a topic that keeps like standing out in my head. Like, I feel like our school system, like in high school, does a disservice to kids trying to figure out what they want to do. Like, and again, I'm quite a while out of high school, but I just know that, you know, as far as like you said, like, you know, when you're doing like promoting for, this is a career opportunity, you know, like career day, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I like, you go back, like, I remember they did like a career day, but it wasn't really like pumped out there that hard. You know, it's like the kind of push is like, you need to go to a university and this, right? And like, that's always been my gripe with the school system. And it's not knocking on anyone who goes to like a traditional 4-year university or trying to get their degree, because it does teach you a lot, and, you know, but it's not for everyone. And I think that like those are the opportunities where you have like these other companies or different careers, right? Whether it's aviation or public service or whatever, right? Just advertisement, you know, I mean, just things like that, where like you can really have these outside influences like change this next group of the future into where they, you know, if everyone's all about thinking for yourself, right? And have an independent thought processing and how you do it. You don't have to do what everyone else does, and yada, yada, yada. I'm sure we've heard that our entire lives.
Yeah.
Right? But those are the opportunities where you really can do that, right? Because you're showing all these kids there's multifaceted of success that you can get out of your life career-wise that may not necessarily mean, you know, look, you went to a university, but for aviation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? How many people know that even exists?
I didn't know that existed.
Oh my gosh.
I just learned it today. So
That's why I have to say the name really slow, because people are like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, Embry-Riddle Aerodynamics, because it's a long title too. But exactly, like people don't know that these schools are out there.
yeah, and like I know there's a lot of things like we were talking about like airline mechanics, right? Or I have a buddy that did a trade school. He was a mechanic. Like, yeah, his dad was a mechanic. He was a mechanic. He's a full motorhead, can like rip apart an engine, put it back together, but always with cars.
Yep.
When he worked for an auto body shop for a while and was trying to move up and just trying to figure out what he was doing. He ended up seeing a flyer about like basically if you wanted to do like exotic cars or whatever, just to try to level up because he wanted to make more money. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And when he went through this trade program, it was like 3 or 4 months or whatever. At the end of it, they had a career day, and they had somebody there that was either, he said, I can't remember. It was like, there was aerospace stuff, there was aviation, and then there was like marine, like for boats. But it wasn't for like regular boats. It was for like cruise ship liners, battleships, like big, big engine stuff. And he's like, oh, that was interesting. So I hit him up. They ended up saying, they're like, yeah, when you go through our class, they basically line you out with a job. And as soon as it did, dude, the guy's making great money doing what he loves to do. And this, but these like, where I'm getting at is that there's so many different things that like the general public, we have no idea exist.
Yeah.
You know, so when we're sitting there and we're like analyzing the youth, because it's really easy to do. You're barely out of that category, by the way. But
I know. I'm used to it.
But
keep talking.
No, but and I don't mean that. That just means you're 20 steps ahead. That's all that means. But you know, when like as a society, when we were like, you know, like kids need to make better decisions and figure out what they're doing with their lives. And it's like, well, a lot of the reason, at least to me, is that the reason why they're not, you know, other than being a teenager and maybe being a little lazy, there's a large group of them who are ready to start the grind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just might not have found the avenue for them yet.
Yeah.
And I just think like hearing all that stuff, man, it's like, they should really figure out the high school curriculum in a better way to at least give a ton of different options. And I'm sure someone, if they're listening, they're like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, you might be right. But then again, I don't see it either. You know what I mean? So, you know.
Think about how many kids in high school are like, I don't know what I want to do. And it's time to apply to a college and they're like, I don't know where to go or what to major in. And, you know, you really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of those things where, I mean, like when I was in high school, it was like, well, like I played baseball, you know, and it's like I was good, but I wasn't gonna be some superstar anywhere, you know. And it was just like I was thinking, well, I have a couple buddies' dads who are firefighters. That seems like a cool job. Or it was the military. That was pretty much where I was going with.
Yep.
You know, and not that those are bad choices by any means, because at least you're thinking right about the future.
But look to how you were exposed to it. It's because you knew someone.
Right.
It's always that way. Aviation is the same way. It's like, oh well, and I'm one of those people. Oh well, my dad was a pilot. That's how I got into it. And that's why I think, I think this is where you're going. Sorry for interrupting, but that's why I always feel like I have an obligation to give back, or I have an obligation to be a voice for someone who doesn't have a father or a mother or an aunt or an uncle that's in aviation. I can say, no, look at me. You don't need someone in your family. Here's how you can do it. Let me be your resource.
Yeah.
Even if it is over the internet or.
That's a good point.
whatever.
I mean, because growing up, when I hit a teenager, my dad, he's a career military man, special, Green Beret, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go to the military. I'm gonna do this. I remember my dad was like, why don't you try some different options, And I remember I went into the Police Explorer. I was trying to get into Police Explorers, and then one of my best friends in high school, who now works for us, Joe Darling. Shout out my buddy. He's like, hey, I'm in the Fire Explorer. You should do it with me. This is more fun. I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And then I went. I was 15 years old. And then from there on, I was like, I want to be a firefighter.
That is so awesome.
And that's kind of, it's like you said, you just don't know until you meet somebody or whatever it is. And, it's interesting.
And that age, I think, is so crucial because you still have your curiosity of a child, but you have the intelligence of a teenager to make those decisions.
Yeah.
And it's such a formative year. And so it is sad to see that, the high schools aren't doing more. But, I really relate to that because when I found aviation and I was serious about it, my parents are always my biggest supporters, but they're realists. Like I was notorious for picking something up and then a month later being like, oh yeah, whatever, like the opposite of consistency.
Yeah.
So they were like, prove to us that you really want to do this. So I went online, I did my research, and I found that the school I went to, Embry-Riddle, had a summer camp. And it was a week long, and you go and you take classes, you stay in the dorm, and it's like an intro to college.
That's cool.
But it's also an intro to aviation. And that was me. The second day, I was like, I'm going to school here. I'm going to fly. This is what I want to do. And it was because, you see it to believe it.
Wow. You know what I just thought about?
What?
I was watching this documentary about the last, I think it's Falcon 4. Is that the last one of SpaceX that they went, they circled the globe, I think 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And it's all civilians.
Yeah.
And it was a private pilot. I would want to ask Mike, is that something you think you might want to do one day?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can do it.
Let's go.
I think,
Hit the ball.
I think you could do it. I mean, because you know what? It's not impossible. The guy who's flying, I mean, he is a billionaire. He's got his own like jet fighter plane and stuff. But that being said, that would be freaking amazing.
So I'm so torn between this great debate of, is space exploration worth it? Because there's so many people on our planet that are struggling. Mm-hmm. And I really sympathize with that. But part of me being in the industry I am, I'm like, how many people do you think in the 20s and the 30s when aviation was booming and the airlines were starting that they were going, oh, it's just something for the rich. It's just a luxury that they get to throw their money away and then they go on these airplanes and eat these fancy meals. Right now we're looking at it like, people are just circling the globe in a spaceship because they can. But part of me really truly believes that this is the first step of technology. Who knows if someone who wants to become a pilot who's born now might become a space exploration pilot, right? Because they're flying people from New York to Hong Kong in 4 hours. That's crazy. Like what if that's the future? And I really, maybe it's me being an optimist, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is the future, like why would we stop this?
I think
if someone wants to blow their own money on it,
right.
At least we're not spending tax money on it.
I like that you said it like that because like I am or have been, and I know I've said it on the podcast, I was one of kind of like a Jeff Bezos hater.
Yeah. I want to hate him so much. Well, I do.
Because like I always think of like priority, right? So it's like, okay, well, it's like debt, hunger, boom, we can go down the list of like world capacities or even just our country, right?
Or how his employees are being treated.
Yeah. So it's like,
it's a real thing.
It's easy to knock the people that can afford it because they're easy to shit on in general because you can just break them down, right? And like, why wouldn't they just be doing this? And it's like, okay, one, I get it. I don't know. I'm not in that position. But that is an interesting take. I like how you're saying because like it is the progress of technology and society and how they correlate. That was a great example talking about people who are riding in planes.
Yeah.
Because it was something accessible to people who had money. And so I'm sure at the time, people like me would be shitting on those people. Being like, look at you getting from California to New York in 6 hours, a piece of crap. It's like, you should be fixing tires. You know what I mean? Like, let's make those better. So I tell you, that's a good way to look at it, because like, it is advancement, right? And the idea is that once you can kind of nail that down, which a lot of the times it is pushed by people with money, because that's just how it has to be, unless the government, but I feel like we get a little bit more technologically savvy with outside agencies or private business pushing that driving force. So maybe, like you said, one day, like whether it's, now I might be butchering this, but like, you have the capabilities of the planes, or where you're going into space to do the traveling part, because like you said, from was it New York to Hong Kong in 4 hours. You know what I mean? And maybe that will be the future. That will be accessible to the public, or more reasonable in price. So anyway, I felt bad while you were saying that. I was like, man, I was that guy.
Well, hey, you know what? I just want to put in the universe. I hope that happens for you. I think that'd be awesome. Not to be weird, but I'd probably watch and be shedding tears like, I fucking know her.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I know that woman.
Maybe be the figurehead of whatever company pushes that first. I mean, you're in a really good spot for it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Starting in early, and that's
great
so
spot. Are you involved with any of those girls groups?
Yeah. So I'm the membership coordinator for Women in Corporate Aviation. So a 501c3 nonprofit.
Awesome.
And they honestly are the reason why I have the job I have right now.
Okay.
And I like to tell the story of how I got interested, or excuse me, how I got involved.
Yeah.
Because there's always the Women in Aviation conference. So I went my freshman year of college because I joined the local chapter. And I remember, it's like any conference. When you go for the first time, it's so overwhelming. I was 17, like bright-eyed and bushy, and there's companies and there's booths and whatever else. So I go walking up, and just Women in Corporate Aviation, a bunch of nice ladies greeted me, and we start chatting. And one's like, oh, I'm the chief pilot of Coca-Cola. Oh, I'm the chief pilot for FedEx Corporate. Like,
wow.
No one knows that FedEx has corporate jets.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No idea.
I always say too, this is a side note, but think of any Fortune 500 company, like most likely they have an airplane, if not many.
Wow.
People don't realize it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No idea.
And it's because, it's what do you value more, your time or your money? If your time's more important, you're going to fly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but side note, so I go walking up and I'm hearing all these like luxurious jobs that they have. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. So I sign up, I pay my $25 student membership fee. And then a year goes by and I'm like, the heck? I didn't do anything. Like I'm paid, but I didn't contribute. So I go the next year and I'm like, what can I do? And so they're like, well, we're looking for, I think it was like treasurer and something, but we're also interested in getting into social media. So again, now I'm 18. I'm like, well, I know how to work Instagram. Like, let's work something out. So I started volunteering for them as their social media coordinator. And I always say too, for the next generation, get involved with the older generations, not because the basic principle of respecting your elders, but also they have so much they can teach you and they want to be proud of you.
Yeah.
Let's prove them wrong, that we are not lazy generations and whatever else, let's prove them wrong because they want to be proven wrong. So it was like anything I did was a gold star to them. They were like through the moon happy, and it
also encourages
awesome.
you, right?
Oh, 100%.
It starts to pump you up and give you more encouragement.
It made me want to do so much more.
Yeah.
So I start volunteering as social media coordinator, and through the years, I just kept volunteering, going to the conferences, working booths, things like that. And now I call them my aviation aunties because they're cool. They're cooler than moms, but the age gap is definitely there.
Yeah.
But just the same women I would see every year, and it's not like we would talk throughout the years. Maybe if I was working on a project or something. So it was very much a acquaintanceship leading into a friendship, but still in a respectful, professional manner. But so pretty much I built these relationships with them. And then, fast forward, I'm now working for this company in New York. And I get a call one day from one of them. I'm like, Lisa, hi, how are you? I haven't seen you since last year. And she's like, are you looking for a job at all? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for a job. Yeah, what's up? She's like, well, there's this company in Chicago. I think you should apply. So she sends me the application. And lo and behold, I fill out three quarters of it. I get to the bottom and it says Gulfstream 550 captain. And I call her back and I'm like, what drugs are you taking? Because they must be good.
Yeah, you got the good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, and I was like, I'm not qualified. She's like, just apply. Just apply. Just apply. And that's what I did. And, and that's why, it's crazy because I sit here too and I'm like, holy crap, I'm 25. And I have this job that people who are in their 40s are still aiming to get.
Wow.
And it's just the nature of the industry that, hours take time and time equates to age. So, it's that process, but it's a matter of, there's that saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I add to that. I say, it's not what you know, it's who you know and how hard you can work.
Yes.
Because to some capacity, you have to know someone, but then prove to them that you can actually do it.
Still got to put the work in.
Yeah. So that's essentially how I got this job. And it all came back to that organization and them inspiring me and motivating me and showing me that it was possible.
Yeah.
And at sometimes even, giving me a good kick to the behind and saying, just do it.
Right.
Just do it.
Well, I mean, you say it all the time, dude. You got to shoot your shot.
Yeah.
And unless you don't know. Look, the worst case scenario is you said no, right?
Yep.
And you still keep trucking along and pursuing what you're pursuing, and any availability you keep applying. But if you don't do it, you're never going to know. And I mean, look what that opportunity gave to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. Thank you for sharing all that stuff. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, man, that's very much a role model-esque here.
Oh, it's inspiring for me, man.
Yeah, me too. I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, man, I got to pick up my game. I was like,
Right.
Anyway.
Well, one thing I'm picking up from you, though, I love it's, and Jordan said, I say all the time, but it's like, shoot your shot. Don't be afraid to fail. And what I'm picking up from you is like, you're going for it. Whether it's you make it or not, you're still going to keep pursuing, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there's something to be learned, too, also in failure. Failure is not necessarily a bad thing.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
failed often at a lot of things I've pursued.
Mm-hmm.
But I take that hit, and you reorganize, like, okay, I'm going to do better this time. I'm going to go this way or go this route. But also in some of those failures, I've made great connections.
Yeah.
And all those great connections, they mentor you. They say, hey, it's okay. Next time you go on this interview or next time you go for this job or when you're training for this, try it this way. Or go talk to this person. They'll line you out.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, don't be afraid to fail. It's okay.
And also vice versa to that. If you don't get the job, that's when you reach out and say, why didn't I?
Right.
What can I do better? What would make me a better applicant or what would make me more qualified? What are you looking for? And, through Women in Corporate Aviation, we give out scholarships twice a year. And I review a lot of the scholarships and other organizations too. I'll, be on their scholarship committees. And it's so common that you have a really great applicant, like the person themselves is great, but their essay was a little short or their letters of recommendations were outdated. So like they lost stupid points somewhere and ultimately the money went to someone else. Mm-hmm. And I wish those people would reach out to me and say, hey, I didn't get it this year, but what do you think I could do better? Mm-hmm. So that way I could say, you will win this if you do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Because you're a great candidate. Your application was just missed the mark.
Yeah.
And, we have had some people do it and then they've won.
Right. And they come back and they do better, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then they got $2,000 for free.
Boom.
Dude, that's so cool. Good for you. I mean, good for you for at least putting yourself out there too, because I think that's the other half of it is that the people who have worked hard to get in these good positions, it's kind of like you're pay it forward. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like someone helped you out. Or whether, not saying that everyone gets the handout, but like whether you do or don't, but you get into these positions, that's what we can do as like individuals for society, is that anybody has interest in the same field that your profession is in, and like I try my best to be like that with everyone who wants to get involved in the fire department. I'm like, just come on in. Whatever day I'm here, more than welcome.
Yeah.
Like I'll sit down with you and talk to you all day. And like, it's funny going over applications and stuff or resumes or interview skills or whatever it is. I'm always open to help somebody out because I feel like that's my way of giving back, and I feel like if everyone took that, not that everyone has to devote all their time to it, but, a little bit of time of saying like, hey, you didn't get it on this application. Next time, why don't you send me what you have? Let's go over it.
Yep.
Right. Because like I have expertise in this. I'm going to help you get to that next level. And hopefully, it goes and then they can help somebody else. And that's just how I keep passing it forward,
Yeah.
We're passing it. I guess we'd just be passing the baton.
Passing it
But I was like, was it forward? You paid it forward or backwards? But either way, it's towards progress.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love a good conspiracy theory.
Ooh.
So I got to ask you this.
Yeah.
Amelia Earhart.
Yeah.
Have you followed that a little bit?
Oh. Have I?
Slightly.
Have I?
God, what's your thought on that? Do you think she like was marooned on an island? There's a couple islands, right? Nick Morrow and a couple other ones, but what are your? I mean, I hope. My thing is, I just hope they find her one day or her plane
Oh
or
my
something.
God, that's what that's all I want.
Yeah, same here because I fall all the time. I'm always
Yeah.
Googling it because I love conspiracy theories. Whether it's a conspiracy theory or you're trying to figure out what happened,
Yeah.
that story always interests me. Mainly because I went real in depth with it one time and I watched a couple different documentaries and some different websites.
Mm-hmm.
She paved the way, man. And I mean, and in that plane that she had, and for that time to map out where she's going, where she's flying, that took a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's no GPS like we have now or iPads or whatever. And she did it.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, God, she was right there. And it's like, now she's gone.
I know.
Come on, man.
Oh man, I have so much to say, and I'm like, calm down. Because I've heard them too. Like, there's theories where she was taking off from Papua New Guinea, and she had some sort of emergency, turned back. They have some sort of like radio evidence. There's now like people are investigating more, and there's so I think there's progress. I think there's attention, but man, oh my God, I want to go into it, and it's for some reason I don't feel like it's my story to speculate.
I got you.
Like it's just her legacy was so great,
It was
and
amazing legacy. Amazing legacy. Unfortunately, I feel like so much time has gone by. I don't know about erosion, ocean water with planes and all that, but I do know there was an issue with her, or possibly with her navigator.
Yeah,
I think he was
Eric Newman.
Yeah,
Eric
I don't know if he was a drunk
Newman?
or what it was. They had some type of issue with him, but
Yeah.
I hope one day they find her or the plane or something like that, because
Yeah.
it's such a great story.
I know.
It's amazing, and you want to talk about breaking barriers for a time. Oh my gosh,
I know.
was that not accepted?
I
Right? I mean,
know.
there was fanfare, but people were hating on her.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely hating on her.
For sure.
But gosh, I love that story.
Yeah.
I'm like hooked on it all the time.
My mind is running like a mile a minute now. I'm like,
I think we
like,
should
we gotta find her.
I know.
we should do like a fun like conspiracy podcast like episode
Hell yeah.
where like I don't know, we can all do like a different one. So
That
like
would
you got to
be
be
so-
like
I was
the
gonna
Amelia
say,
Earhart
please,
specialist.
yeah. I hope I can
right?
bark for that one.
Oh, well,
that'd
you're
be sick.
I was gonna say, like, you don't have a choice. You're pretty much gonna have to come back.
Yeah, you have to be.
multiple
Yeah.
times.
That'd be
Twist my
really.
arm.
Yeah, oh, dang it.
There was one more thing I did want to ask you though. Okay, I've seen pilots with the iPads.
Yeah.
They're using iPads now. What's that for? What are they doing on the iPad?
So, many things. So, like, we have our maintenance tracking on there. We have one of our flight planning services, and then there's other optional ones that you can have. So, definitely, like, a lot of different apps, a lot of different supplemental. What's the best word I can use to describe it? Supplemental, I guess, like education services for us.
Okay, because I see it up on the what do you call it, a dash. Sometimes I'll see
the
it like
windshield. Yeah.
it's like poked up right here. I'm like, dude, freaking technology.
Yeah, so like different approach charts, like sometimes, especially us, like we're just so used to using our fingers and touching things now that sometimes it's just easier to scroll in and find a frequency or what was that number again, and it's just right there.
And I'm so glad those are your answers, and it wasn't like Hulu. Or Netflix.
Playing PUBG, dude.
Yeah, I'm catching up on some binge-worthy series. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, Kim, we are so glad you came here. We're gonna wrap this up. We have some questions for you.
Oh,
All right.
Everyone's gonna answer, including Sam, but it's gonna start with you.
okay.
Okay. So, okay, I don't know. It's kind of we'll open up with this one. It's kind of a weird one. So, if there's one thing that someone could say that immediately makes you hate them, what would it be?
I hate New York pizza.
That was a very fast answer.
That's actually pretty good. That was very fast. What was the question again?
So basically, if there's something that somebody says that immediately makes you not like them, or this is hate, but we'll say not like.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. I'm sticking to that.
That they hate New York.
Oh, it makes my
pizza.
blood
They're full
boil.
of shit. It's delicious.
No, because living in Chicago, they're like, oh, this pizza. I'm like, no, it's cheese pie.
Cheese
yeah,
It's cheese
It
pie.
is what it is. It's
Like it's delicious. Don't get me wrong. It's not.
yeah.
Don't call it pizza. That's
Yeah.
blasphemy.
I like that artichokes place. I don't know if it's still around in New York, the artichoke pizza, but there's a place, I think it's like, there's a couple of them called artichokes.
Oh, okay.
It's like basically like artichoke dip on top of the pizza. It's delicious.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm not opposed.
Pretty good.
Wow.
You know what mine is? I hate when a male comes up to me or a passing, they say, "Hey, what's up, chief?" "Hey, what up, boss?" I'm like, but I feel like it's kind of condescending, dude. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Now, don't come up to me and say, "Hey, what's up, chief?" I hate that.
Well, that's like the equivalent of like, "Hey, lady boss."
Yeah. Yes.
Or like,
yes,
when
exactly.
I go up to you and be like, "Hey, manly boss."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, don't call me a lady boss.
I hate that. I
No.
fucking hate that. What's
Yeah.
up, boss? I'm like, no, dude. God.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to answer this, huh?
Yeah.
I really don't know because I feel like I don't care that much, but I don't, because like I don't like that either.
Yeah.
Like I don't like be like, like K sport or like things like that. So I guess I'll just roll with that answer.
Okay.
I was trying to get deep because I don't like not like it when people say they hate sports.
Yeah.
I was like, in general, just all the sports you hate.
But even if someone came up
because
to
if they
you-
don't, they're probably great, rad people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just don't like sports. So I wouldn't say that I don't like them.
Well, you know what's another one though that people say, and probably because I still look young. I'm not old, but I still look not my age. Hey, kid. I'm like, bitch, is there a kid around here? Like, I don't know where there's a kid. Like, what are you talking about? It happens a lot at work. Around like older people, you go to not parties, but social
Kiddo.
gatherings. Yeah, hey, what up, kiddo? I'm like, bro, I ain't no fucking kid, man. What are you talking about? I feel like that's condescending.
Absolutely.
Matt, Sam, you got one?
What up, chief?
Oh,
Yo,
You're
I've
fired.
been waiting to say that.
Stupid.
Yo, man. No, I mean, my biggest thing is when it's assumed that I either rap or I play a sport.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's every club, everywhere I've ever been. It's, bro, I've seen that. I've seen.
Oh, jeez. Oh,
Man.
is that one of your rap songs?
He's dropping
I know, right? Yeah.
He's dropping beat.
Whoops, that was mom.
is he plugging it? You're plugging it up.
My
Speaking
bad.
of which,
My bad. Sorry about that, guys.
you're good,
But
dude.
yeah, no, man. Like every club, everywhere I've been, it's like it's assumed that I'm on some type of football, some team.
Well, you are a jacked black man.
You know,
okay, I mean, not to say it's appropriate,
sorry, dude, but
you're intimidating, dude.
It's a stereotype, though. Also, So, but yeah, what were we gonna say, Jordan?
no, I was just saying I was like, well, look, dude, you look the part of being like super in shape, and you're not like that sounds mean, but like, you know what I mean, like a taller,
You're tall,
kind of in
built man.
shape guy, not kind of a jack dude. Typically has some sort of association, maybe with the sports team, and you're younger. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I could see that. The rap one, not as much, but I could see the sports. You know.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
but
I get that.
Kim, you got to understand our boy here, Sam. Okay,
Yeah.
he's got some style. Right, I wear black shirt and black pants or jeans.
I was gonna say, are you just saying that because all three of you are wearing black
No,
shirts?
I only wear black shirts, right? It just makes my life
We all
simple.
text each
but
other.
Sam will
Yeah.
come, like the other day, Sam could pull this off. I can't do it. He came walking in. He had his nice shirt on. He had some skinny jeans, and he had white, like leather suede boots on. And I was like, my
That's
man,
nice.
you got it.
That's
I
nice.
can't do that. I can't fucking do that.
It's just because you think you can. Fashion is about confidence.
Exactly. Thank you, Kim.
Fashion is all confidence.
Sam, what
Well-
side are you on right now, man?
Well, I'm not confident.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not confident enough to wear white snakeskin boots in any ensemble in any scenario.
Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make
I love
it.
it.
I can barely take my own advice, but yeah, fashion is confidence.
What's the next one you got,
All right,
Jordan?
next question. It says, if you can party with one, okay, so this one's if you can party with one sports team from any point in time in history, or we can say individual,
Okay,
from
okay.
sporting individual, who would it be?
So and we're changing to any individual.
Well, yeah, just the question is for sports team, but like if there's like a, like, I don't know, any historic.
Let's go with what team?
Well, I'm trying to think. Who does Tom Brady play for now? It's not the Patriots. He
Buccaneers.
moved to the Buccaneers. Probably that because I saw the pictures of the parade afterwards, and he was stumbling out of there. So
Dude, he was. Yeah, him
I
and
would
Gronk.
like to not remember that party with him.
Is that one? Is that the one where him and Gronk they threw the?
Yeah.
the
Off
trophy
the boat.
from boat to boat.
Yeah, I want to go to that party with them. I would
know-
do that.
For me, Chicago Bulls during their era with Michael Jordan. All this, I feel like
Yes.
those guys
Yay,
were
that's
off the
good.
because that's what we grew up with, right?
Yeah.
That
Watch
era.
out for Rodman, dude.
Oh, dude,
That guy's gonna be pushing the pace the whole time. Yeah, I
that'd
like
be
that.
freaking awesome.
Let's see here. Mine would be the 1985 Bears. because that's the year they won the Super Bowl, and there was like Walter Payton, Jim McMahon, and and it was the '80s, so I'm sure it was gnarly party time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a huge Bears fan, so that would be a neat opportunity to hang out with those guys.
Let's go to the Bears game.
Yeah, Sam, what rap group?
Yeah, okay. You know what, Chief? You know what?
Easy,
You know what, Chief? We're gonna. I was thinking the same thing you were thinking about the Bulls, bro. Yeah,
right?
man. I don't know.
Dude.
Just watching Jordan just pop that champagne.
What was that documentary?
It was the last.
Last Dance.
Last Dance.
Last Dance. There you go. Yeah.
Man, I watched that and I was
So
like,
dope.
I wish I was a little older than that era so I could be
Yep.
there, man.
Yep.
I feel you, dude.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
That was dope.
I like that question, dude.
Yeah, that was a fun one. We'll have to. I feel
it
like
on.
every once in a while we'll come across questions that I just would like to ask those every time because they're just fun ones.
What's the
All right.
last one you got?
This is all, I like this one. It says, if you can live inside of one TV show, what would it be?
Oh my God, this is so difficult.
Right?
I already
Super
got
hard
mine.
question because I have like 20 answers, dude.
So I will say I am so odd when it comes to TV shows because I cannot start a new TV show if I'm by myself.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
I can finish one, but I cannot start one. So
I binge hard.
I just rewatch the same thing over and over and over again. So
Seinfeld.
I do like Seinfeld.
Okay.
It's not one I can just like put on and it's one of those I'll like clean the house to. Like I can't actually sit there and watch it. But I would probably say New Girl.
New Girl.
Yeah.
I can see you in New Girl.
Yeah.
I can see you in New Girl. I like that.
Oh my gosh, that would be such a fun show.
Hell yeah. Family
Yeah.
Matters. I loved Family Matters as a kid.
That man was
It-
dope.
for me, when you asked that question, it was Family Matters or Fresh Prince, and I was like, I was stuck on Family Matters, dude. Because you know how Family Matters, actually Fresh Prince did too, but both of those shows actually really, it'd be funny, but they really hit on social issues at that time. So you felt like, yeah, you're being entertained, but you learned something.
I was gonna say Fresh Prince also did.
Yeah,
that
they totally
too.
did.
Yeah.
They totally did. But there's something about Family Matters I was always drawn to all the time.
Yeah.
Me and my brother watching.
Because it was hilarious and it was on Fridays, dude.
TJF, dude. Step by step. Let's go.
Dude, a good show.
That's
Yeah, you
awesome.
know.
That's awesome. I know.
I don't know. I have way too many answers because I like a lot of TV.
Yeah.
I
There's so
would
many good
say-
plots out there too.
Right. I mean, like probably the most consistent one that I watch though now, but it wouldn't be a fun. It says if live there. So I watch The Office. A
So
lot.
that's what I was also thinking.
And I'm thinking that'd be a boring place to live.
it
Although
would be
I'd
really awkward and cringy.
and entertaining.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So
What the hell happens out there?
I don't know. I'd have to really think about that one. For the sake of entertainment value, I'd pick The Office because I think Dwight's
Yeah.
hilarious and Michael Scott.
I
is
feel like
one of
you
my
and
favorite-
Kim would fit well in there for some reason. I feel like that would still be a great show with you guys both on there.
Yeah.
It really would.
Well, you get really good at like looking into the camera, like
Yeah. And Jordan, we always hit on Jordan on this, but everything's in his eyes. Every time he's talking, he's always kind of looking around.
is
I'm
true.
like, dude, it's Jordan.
Yeah, I
you
was
could
told
do it.
I was a villain. I would be a
That's right, the last
superhero villain.
podcast.
yeah.
Apparently, I have villainish eyes.
Sam, what do you got?
Anyway,
So
I was gonna
Fresh
say
Prince,
kind
bro.
guys.
Fresh Prince?
Fresh Prince, man.
yeah.
My last pair of
Yes.
Jordans were the Fresh Prince Jordans. And every time he wears the ones that I have on now, and he doesn't wear them with laces. And every episode, bro, he has
Right.
like,
the tongue was always flopping out.
always flopping out, man. He has every pair of the fives, and I love it. And that's exactly why I got him, because they're just this eccentric color,
Yeah.
and he just puts. It doesn't matter what he's wearing. I know it's in the '80s, but still,
No, dude, it's great.
oh
Love
my
it.
god,
It was,
loved
dude, it was a good show. And again, that show also hit on social issues. And the one that stuck out to me the most in that show, do you remember when Will Smith was talking with, what was the dad's name? His
Phil.
uncle? Phil.
Phil.
rest in peace.
It was
Uncle
like
Phil.
when he was talking about his dad. His dad came in for the show, right?
Yeah.
And then his dad left, and he had this breaking moment with Phil where he just cried and was yelling, "He's always leaving this and that." And then
Yep.
I remember recently, I don't know, past couple years, they talked about that episode, and Will actually drew from his real father who left. So that scene was legit. He was pulling from those emotions,
Yeah,
and that's
so-
why it made it so real. I was like, damn.
asking why I didn't
Yeah.
love him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Phil's he's like the figurehead, right?
Yeah.
And just stood for doing what's right and working hard. That was a great show.
Father
It
figure in
was
his
so
hand.
good.
And, in all honesty, picking that house would probably be a pretty
Yeah.
dope place to live.
That's what I was
Bullshit
thinking.
aside, I was like, I picked an office space as where I'd want to live. I was like,
I
can
picked
be
a
on-
loft with 4 other people.
The pool house, dude.
Well,
The pool house.
I was thinking of all those shows at the time because I watched all of them. You know, it was
Yeah.
like Family Matters, Fresh Prince, Full House,
Yeah.
Boy Meets World, and I'm thinking like,
Yeah, Boy Meets World.
yeah, but I'm
Topanga.
like, do I want to live? in that?
Every little girl wanted to be Topanga.
Yeah,
God bless her.
I don't know. I
Moment of
just-
silence.
but that would be the place out of all those ones to pick.
Just pour one out.
We're all just like, oh, you said Topanga.
Oh, Topanga.
Everyone started melting like, oh.
I turned everyone into butter.
She was a lot of people's crushes, I'm sure, growing up.
Well, Kim,
Oh, yeah.
thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's an honor to have you here, and we really wanted to celebrate you and everything that you're doing. And I'm so glad that we met on. So I know it sounds crazy, right? Meeting on social media is dangerous, but
Yeah.
it was literally just I was really impressed, and I was like, man, I hope this girl keeps going and see what she's gonna do. And you did, and what you're doing and the organizations that you're involved in, I think it's awesome. Please keep doing it. You're affecting not just your life, but so many other women's lives out there that want to be in this industry or do other things that, you know, we say is male dominated. Screw that.
Yeah.
Freaking do whatever you want to do. Anything's attainable. So
I
thank you so
agree.
much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And the feeling is so mutual. I mean, watching you guys grow also throughout the year has been absolutely amazing. Years, I should say. But no, this has been amazing just to showcase myself, but also you guys as well. You know, that we are all intertwined in this. But seriously, thank you so much. This has been a blast.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, just I mean, we just like met today. So, but like I think like you're in a hard role model position, which is like which is super rad, you know. And I don't mean like it shouldn't put any more or less pressure on you because I feel like the personality or at least how you portray yourself and you know the work ethic and everything speaks for itself, you know. But like going back to just talking about you know helping people along the way or basically showing that like look I can do this is my story you know.
Yeah.
I think that you know having the opportunity to talk on here or just talking about it you know we were saying that earlier where it kind of not normalizes it but it makes things seen obtainable and
Yep.
hopefully the people listening to that if you had any interest in aviation or even just whatever it is but just taking these you know experiences and stories and applying them to their own lives and moving forward I think that's huge and I think there needs to be more of it and I think you're paving the way, man. Really are. And that's
Thank you. I
super
mean,
cool.
with both of your help, you know,
Oh.
Hey, that's
You
you
what
guys
that's
are
what-
you guys are giving
Yeah,
me the
I mean-
platform. So
Yeah, this is the easy
The
part.
symbiotic
talking about it.
relationship.
Yeah,
Hey,
for
I love
sure.
it. I love
Anyways,
it.
thank you.
Yeah, we really honestly want to celebrate just the everyday person because there's so much to celebrate. You know, the struggle
Absolutely.
that we all have to go through just in life, paying bills, getting to where we want to go, and having people like you on. It shows, look, it's not possible. You're gonna have to put the work in, but you can fucking do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I love that. So thank you.
awesome.
Let's get a let's go on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's
go.
Bye, everybody. And that's it. Thank you for listening in, everybody. I'd like to thank our sound engineer who makes this podcast happen and makes us sound very good, Stephen Clark. And to our first sponsor, 89 Barbers. Look good, feel good, be great. Come get your haircut at 2 locations, Long Beach and in Orange, California. Your appointment can be booked at 89barbers.com. That is EIGHTNINEBAB. Excuse me, BARBRERS. 89barbers.com. Again, look good, feel good, be great. Check it out. It's my barber. He is the man. Thanks, everybody. Bye.